Before we begin, please leave a comment, share your thoughts and let us know your lessons learned in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. The late afternoon sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the crowded city streets. The air was thick with the scent of roasted peanuts, exhaust fumes, and forgotten dreams. Amid the chaos, Alara Quinn sat on a worn bench at the edge of a busy park, sketching quietly with a half-broken pencil on the back of an old flyer. Her clothes were frayed, her hands smudged with charcoal, but her strokes were delicate, each line filled with longing, pain, and hope. Alara had once lived a life not of luxury, but of dignity. She had a modest apartment, a job designing murals for small cafes and schools, and enough to get by. But when the city announced its plan to build a high-speed rail system, her neighborhood was the first to go. Promises of relocation, compensation, and community preservation filled the news. None of them came true. With her home reduced to rubble and no safety net to catch her, Alara spiraled. Her art studio was the first to be shut down. Then came the job losses. Her clients vanished, and soon after, so did her savings. Now, she was just another face on the street, invisible to the passers-by who looked away before their guilt could catch up. But someone saw her that day. A sleek black Maserati rolled to a slow stop just meters from the bench. Alara barely glanced up. Fancy cars passed her every day, driven by people who wouldn't stop if she were bleeding on the sidewalk. But this time was different. From the driver's side stepped a man who didn't belong in this corner of the city. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a sharp jawline and eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses. His tailored navy coat caught the sunlight like something out of a fashion magazine. And yet, he didn't walk with arrogance. He walked with purpose. "Alara Quinn?" the man asked, his voice smooth but urgent. She blinked, startled. "Do I know you?" "No," he said, "but I've been looking for you." Her heart kicked. "Why?" The man took off his sunglasses, revealing striking gray eyes that looked both haunted and determined. "I want you to come with me, to a wedding." Alara laughed, a dry sound that didn't match the sparkle of the city around her. "Is this a prank? Did someone send you to mess with me?" "No prank." He stepped closer. "I'll pay you $10 million. She froze. The world seemed to still, the sounds of the city dulling around her. She had never seen $10 in one place, let alone $10 million. And here was this stranger, this impossible man, offering her a fortune for a single night. "Why me?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. "I don't even have clean clothes. I don't need perfect," the man said. "I need real." There was a pause as she studied him more carefully. Despite his polish, there was a strain in his face, something broken beneath the surface. "Who are you?" "Cassian Blake," he said simply. I know who you are." She cut in. Of course she did. Everyone knew Cassian Blake, the tech mogul who turned a college project into a global empire. The billionaire bachelor who built an empire from nothing but was known to trust no one. "And you want me to play what? Your girlfriend?" "My fiancée," he said, his voice low. "Just for the evening." Alara stared at him as if he'd grown a second head. "Let me guess. You need to show off in front of your ex?" Cassian's jaw twitched. Something like that. The moment felt surreal. She was cold, hungry, and tired, and this man was offering her an escape from all of it. But was it worth the cost? "I'll take you to my place. You'll get cleaned up, meet a stylist, eat a real meal, and tomorrow, you walk into that wedding like you own the world." "Why not hire a model?" she asked. "Because I've tried that," he said simply, "and it didn't work." His eyes darkened as if ghosts from his past were whispering in his ears. Alara was intrigued, but also suspicious. People didn't do things like this unless they were desperate or dangerous. Still, $10 million. Her body remembered the cold nights, the hunger that gnawed at her spine, the rejection that came from job interviews where she couldn't even get past the front door. She remembered washing in public fountains, her clothes stiff from drying in the sun, her pride shattered in ways words couldn't describe. "I need a moment," she whispered. Cassian nodded and stepped back, giving her space. Alara stood up from the bench and walked a few feet away. Her heart pounded. Was she about to walk into something terrible? Or was this her one chance to rewrite her story? She turned back to him. "I'll go," she said, "but only if you tell me the whole truth, later." Cassian's shoulders relaxed for the first time. Deal. He opened the passenger door of his car and waited. Alara hesitated, then slid into the leather seat. The interior smelled like expensive cologne and brand new possibilities. As the engine purred and they pulled away, the streets she knew so well blurred past her window, graffiti walls, soup kitchens, homeless tents. She didn't look back. The ride to Cassian's estate was unlike anything Alara had ever experienced. The Maserati glided effortlessly along the road, leaving behind the broken sidewalks and flickering street lamps of the city's underbelly. As they moved through the wealthier districts, Alara's surroundings became surreal: glass-fronted boutiques, pedestrians in designer suits, trees wrapped in twinkling lights. She'd drawn these places before, in charcoal and ink, but seeing them in real life made her feel like a ghost drifting through a world that had never been meant for her. Cassian remained mostly silent, one hand on the wheel, his profile lit by the dashboard's glow. Every so often, Alara would catch him glancing at her, and each time, his expression was unreadable, something between curiosity and calculation. The car turned down a long private drive lined with manicured hedges and tall iron lamps. A gate slid open on cue, and Alara's breath caught as the house came into view. No, not a house, a fortress of steel and glass. Sleek and modern, perched on a hillside overlooking the city like a throne. "You live here?" she asked, barely managing to keep the awe out of her voice. Cassian didn't even blink. "It's home." The word felt strange coming from him, as if even he wasn't fully convinced. The front doors opened automatically as they approached, revealing a grand marble foyer lit by a chandelier that sparkled like a constellation. The air smelled faintly of jasmine and something sharper: money. Maybe, if it had a scent. A housekeeper greeted them with a bow, but Cassian waved her off. "Take the night off, Mina. We've got it from here." Alara's footsteps echoed as she followed him through the entryway, her eyes darting from one extravagant feature to the next. Modern art hung in golden frames, glass staircases with LED lighting, walls made of polished stone. It was breathtaking and intimidating all at once. "You'll stay upstairs tonight," he said, gesturing toward the grand staircase. "Vanessa will meet you there shortly." "Vanessa?" she echoed. "My stylist. She'll get you ready for tomorrow." "Right," Alara said softly. "The wedding." As they reached the second floor, Cassian opened a door to a guest suite. Alara stepped inside and gasped. The room looked like something from a luxury magazine: a king-sized bed with ivory silk sheets, velvet armchairs, a crystal chandelier, and a bathroom so large she could probably live in it. "You'll be comfortable here," Cassian said, his voice suddenly softer. Alara turned to him, her expression guarded. "Before you go, I need to ask, what's really going on? You said this is about your ex, but that can't be the whole story." Cassian stared at her for a long moment, his usual cool demeanor cracked just a little. "Tomorrow, she's marrying someone else. Someone worse than me. But he looks better, talks smoother. I need her to see what she gave up." Alara narrowed her eyes. "So I'm a prop?" "No," he said firmly. "You're the truth I never had." That line lingered in the air long after he left. Alara stood in the middle of the room, unsure what to do with herself. Everything around her was so pristine, so elegant. She felt like a shadow that had wandered into someone else's dream. Then came a knock. The door opened, and in walked Vanessa, a tall woman with sleek, raven black hair, dressed in an all-black suit tailored to perfection. She radiated confidence and professionalism. "Alara," Vanessa greeted with a genuine smile. "Let's make some magic." Vanessa moved like a conductor in a symphony. She unpacked a suitcase of beauty tools and cosmetics, spreading them out with meticulous care on the vanity. Alara sat quietly, trying to ignore the nervous flutter in her stomach. Vanessa started with her hair. She untangled it gently, applied nourishing serum, and curled it into soft waves that framed Alara's face. Next, her nails, shaped, buffed, and painted in a soft rose nude. "You have strong features," Vanessa commented as she worked. "That's rare. Don't let anyone convince you you're not beautiful." Alara swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. Vanessa applied a cooling face mask and let it sit while she prepped a light, dewy foundation. She carefully concealed Alara's sun damage, covered the signs of exhaustion, and brought color back to her cheeks. A touch of blush, mascara, a soft plum lipstick. When she was done, Vanessa stepped back with a satisfied smile. Take a look. Alara turned to the mirror and froze. The girl staring back at her wasn't a street artist in torn boots. She looked elegant, poised, powerful. She looked possible. For a long moment, Alara couldn't speak. I don't look like me, she finally whispered. No, Vanessa said gently. You look like the version of you that always existed, waiting to be seen. Alara changed into a silk robe and wandered out onto the balcony while Vanessa packed up. The city sparkled below, and for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, Alara felt like she was above it, not buried beneath it. Later that night, she found Cassian in the kitchen. He was cooking, stirring pasta in a skillet, the scent of garlic and butter hanging in the air. He looked over when she walked in and froze. For a second, the great Cassian Blake was speechless. You clean up well, he finally said. It's mostly Vanessa, Alara replied, brushing her hair behind her ear. They ate in quiet tension, a strange kind of electricity between them. Not romantic, not yet, but charged with something raw and growing. Cassian, despite his hard shell, seemed more human tonight, and Alara, despite her past, felt a little less broken. As dinner ended, Cassian looked at her across the candlelit table. Thank you, he said. For what? For saying yes. For being here. Alara met his eyes. Don't thank me yet. Tomorrow might be a disaster. He smiled faintly. At least I'll have backup. Morning broke over the city in a haze of pink and gold, casting long rays of sunlight across Cassian Blake's sprawling estate. Inside the guest suite, Alara Quinn stirred beneath layers of silken sheets, momentarily forgetting where she was. The bed was warm, the air perfectly cool, and for a fleeting moment, she felt safe, weightless, as if the world outside no longer existed. But that illusion broke the moment Vanessa entered the room with her usual poise and a gentle nudge. Alara, time to rise. We've got a wedding to attend. Alara groaned softly, her voice muffled by the pillow. Just 10 more minutes. Cassian sent me. He said if you're not ready in an hour, he'll come up here himself. That made Alara bolt upright. The next hour was a blur of preparation. Another hot shower. A second round of carefully applied makeup. Her hair restyled into a sleek low bun adorned with a delicate silver pin. Then came the dress, Cassian's choice. It was blush pink with a fitted bodice and a cascading satin skirt. When Alara slipped it on, she felt a shift, not just in how she looked, but in how she carried herself. The mirror didn't reflect the street-hardened woman she once was, but someone with strength, grace, and a future. Vanessa adjusted the final details with the precision of an artist. You look like someone who owns the room. I hope I don't have to, Alara murmured, clutching the fabric at her waist. A short while later, Cassian waited at the foot of the staircase in a tailored black tuxedo. He looked every inch the billionaire prince, calm and collected, but his jaw tightened when Alara descended the steps. His gaze moved slowly over her. You look breathtaking. Try not to sound too surprised, she said with a smirk, though her cheeks flushed slightly. Not surprised, impressed. He extended his arm, and she took it with a confidence she didn't feel. The drive to the wedding venue was quiet, tension humming between them. Alara stared out the window as the streets gave way to the outskirts of the city, to lush gardens and estates that seemed plucked from a storybook. The car eventually slowed in front of a grand manor draped in ivy and soft white flowers. Music floated through the air, and guests in suits and gowns milled about with flutes of champagne in hand. Alara's heart pounded. Last chance to back out, Cassian said, his voice low. I should have backed out when you first said wedding, she replied. But I'm here now. As they stepped out of the car, all eyes turned to them. Whispers, gasps, curious glances. Cassian, ever composed, placed a firm hand on Alara's lower back and guided her through the crowd. She stood taller with every step, her fingers curled lightly around his. They were a perfect pair, visually. At least, Cassian wore his pain like armor, while Alara wore her past like a storm she'd survived. Inside the venue, a soft melody played from a string quartet as guests took their seats in a garden lit by fairy lights. The ceremony was minutes away. Cassian leaned toward her. There she is. Alara followed his gaze and saw her. Helida. She was beautiful, radiant in an off-shoulder wedding gown. But Alara noticed the small things. the tightness in her smile. The way she glanced over her shoulder as if expecting something. When Halida's eyes landed on Cassian, and then on Alara, her smile faltered. Bingo. You wanted her to see you've moved on? Alara whispered. Mission accomplished. Cassian gave a slow nod. But his expression was unreadable. The ceremony began, but Alara couldn't focus. She kept glancing at Cassian, watching the muscles in his jaw tighten, his fingers curling into his palms. She leaned close, voice barely above a breath. Are you okay? I'm fine. She knew he wasn't. After the vows were exchanged and the applause faded, the guests made their way into a lavish ballroom decorated in gold and cream. Cassian and Alara moved through the room like seasoned royalty. Alara smiled, laughed at polite jokes, and clinked glasses with people she didn't know, all the while feeling the heat of Halida's stare from across the room. But it wasn't Halida who approached them first. A tall, charming man in a white suit sauntered over, grinning like a fox. Cassian Blake, never thought I'd see you here. Cassian's smile was thin. Malik, and who is this vision by your side? Malik's eyes shifted to Alara, lingering just a second too long. This is Alara, Cassian said firmly. My fiancé. There it was. The word that made Alara's stomach knot. It was all pretend, she reminded herself. All pretend. Malik raised a brow. Well, aren't you full of surprises? They chatted briefly, the tension so thick Alara could almost see it. When Malik walked away, she turned to Cassian. Ex-friend? Ex-something, he muttered. The night wore on, and the crowd became more animated with every glass of champagne. A soft jazz band played. Couples danced, and Alara found herself wandering onto the edge of the dance floor. Cassian found her a moment later. Dance with me. She blinked. What? We're supposed to be in love. Remember? She hesitated, then placed her hand in his. Fine, but no spinning. He chuckled, leading her onto the floor. His hand found her waist, and their bodies swayed in time with the music. The room faded, the chatter, the stares, even Halida's icy glances. For a moment, there was only the rhythm and the feel of Cassian's hand against her back. You're good at this, she whispered. I've had practice. You mean other fake fiancés? He gave her a look. You're the first. They danced in silence after that, something unspoken settling between them. A fragile understanding, maybe even a connection. Later, they stepped out onto the balcony overlooking the city lights. The air was crisp, the stars bright above them. She looked jealous, Alara said softly. Cassian didn't answer at first. He leaned against the railing, eyes on the horizon. Maybe, but it doesn't matter anymore. Alara turned to face him. Then why are you still carrying her in your chest? He glanced at her sharply, then looked away. You ask hard questions, only the ones you're afraid to answer. They stood in silence until Cassian spoke again. I thought this would be about showing her I've moved on, but I didn't expect to meet someone who reminded me how it feels to be seen. Alara's breath caught. Cassian, he looked at her, eyes intense. You walked into this world like you didn't belong, and now everyone can't take their eyes off you. Because of your money, your clothes, your car. No, because of you. The city glittered around them. Somewhere below, a different life was still waiting, tough, real, unforgiving. But up here, in this moment, Alara felt something unfamiliar. Hope. And maybe, just maybe, love.